Okay, hello everyone. I know you've all seen the car in its full display here, but we wanted to do a little short presentation. And in fact, before I even talk about the car, I actually want to go back and talk a little bit about the story behind the car. And I'm going to walk over here, so we'll make this very casual. The whole genesis of the idea of this vehicle really began back, believe it or not, in the summer of 2014. And in fact, that was a point in time where we were celebrating 50 years of Opel Design. The Opel Design Center actually opening up for the first time 50 years before that. And in that display that we had for a whole week, we really centered everything around this car. In fact, this actual model, believe it or not, which is a claim model or a replica claim model of the experimental GT, which was the first car to be designed in that design center. And what really struck me and the whole design team was really how amazingly simple and small this car was. We're so used to seeing cars grow over time, and seeing such a small car, really compact, but having this beautiful sculptural quality and this simplicity really all struck us. And at the same time, 50 years is such a symbolic period of time that really it triggered, why wouldn't we reinvent the GT? And that's exactly what we started to think about. So, you know, the story began from there, and obviously we're showing some displays here. Obviously the experimental GT then led to the production GT, which is here, an absolutely beautiful car and really symbolic of its time, a wonderfully sculptural and expressive car that represented the spirit of the 60s. But now let me go and talk about the vehicle that it led to. One thing that I was absolutely adamant about, and all of the design team will tell you, is I did not want this car to be retro in the slightest. Now, Erhard is at the back there, who designed the original GT, so he wasn't insulted. It wasn't that we didn't love the original GT, it's just we wanted to bring the spirit of that car, but in the modern context, in the context of 2015, 2016. And that needed to make a very different statement, a really modern statement, because as a brand, that's what we see ourselves. We do emotional, sculptural design that is really modern and contemporary. And so that was really the spirit behind this. So that was the challenge I gave to my design team. Let's find something that can really be linked to the past, but only in terms of that spirit, but at the same time, really create something bold and expressive. And I hope you all agree that that's exactly what we've done here. So talking a little bit about the design, I'm going to start at the front and then we'll work our way around. So at the front of the car, you can see this almost like shark nose, this real lint forward nose, giving it this expressive dynamic character, which really actually built from the Monza concept that we did in Frankfurt a couple of years ago now. Obviously the typical wing signature lights that you see on all Opels. And in fact, we've had that wing signature light going now since 2008, and we will continue to develop that because we see that as a core signature element of our brand. And then within the details of this car, we've actually taken the matrix lamp function to a whole new level, a pixel matrix which really can refine the ability to keep that full-scale projection going, but have even more close cutting of the lamp elements. So really, really high-tech execution. But really, let's spin the car around a little bit to a front three-quarter. Really, the beauty of this car is about this simple sculptural shape. And, that really is expressed by these lovely surfaces across the hood here, with this exaggerated peak. Again, all Opels have had this peak. We want to continue that, but make it even crisper and stronger going forward. But there's probably two fundamental design elements that really stand out on this car. The first is this two-tone graphic. And really, even though the car is very small, it's only 3.85 meters long, 168 wide and 118 tall, so it's a very, very tight package. We wanted to exaggerate that even further. And with this split graphic here, it really presses the car down to the ground, and it exaggerates what we call dash to axle, and that's the distance from the pillar through to the front center, which really gives it this powerful proportion and really exaggerates where we have the engine on this car, which is this front mid-mounted. But what was a real challenge, obviously, was keeping the simplicity, and we came up with the idea of this transitioning glass. Now, from the outside, it may look like it's going to be very claustrophobic inside, but I can assure you, when you sit inside this car, it is anything but. It is, in fact, the opposite of that, because normally in sports cars, you have a very high belt line just to give it this aggressive proportion. We didn't need to do that on this car, and in fact, the belt line from the inside is very low. So when you sit in the car, you get this wonderful view of the road, which is obviously great for the driving experience. But from the outside, it feels tight and purposeful, like a sports car should. The other really bold element of this car is obviously, and what many people have been talking about, is the red tire and this slash that runs through the middle of the car. Now that actually was inspired, believe it or not, by an Opel Motor Club motorbike from 1928 that we saw in our museum in the center of our plant there, and we were all struck by how modern this thing was, and it had red tires. And we just thought that that would be such an amazing element to bring in to this car to give it this really dynamic quality. And at the same time, modern product design really uses simplicity with bold graphics, and we felt that was a great way of creating a unique personality for this vehicle. Going back to the simplicity of the design down the side, one of the challenges I gave my team was to only have one cut line, and you can see the cut line of the door. There's literally just one simple line. Now, when you have such a long door, that would normally be impossible because the door would be so large when you open it. But maybe, Tony, could you open the door here for us? As you can see, we've got a very unique pivoting door that enables a very wide opening access, so you can drop into the seating area very, very easily in this car. And at the same time, really exposes this front tire that, again, makes it a very, very iconic detail that we're really proud of. And in fact, we've actually patented this idea because we think it's such a cool feature. And I think that's also what makes this car really terrific, is it's not all about a beautiful design. It's about bringing function and a beautiful design together. And as I mentioned, the opening here, we've used this red area like a clamshell door was in the past to really eat into the roof that allows you to drop in really easily. And this front door gives you really, really wide access for your feet. So even though the car is only 118 high, it's very, very easy to get in and out. So we're really proud of combining this beauty and functionality. The interior itself, I'm not going to get in this side because I'll give you a chance to have a look at it from the outside. This was also about bringing functionality and design together. So we wanted to create this very open, spacious interior. And we did actually look back at some cars in the 60s. And Opel in the 60s very typically took the instrument panel and carved it away from you. And we found that a very interesting concept because what that does is it creates space. And normally when you do that in a modern car, you normally have to put square or rectangular screens back in, which cut into and disturb that space. But what we've done on this vehicle is by using projection technology, we've been able to create the instrument panel out of one piece. And that enables a very, very simple interior design, but really bringing all the technology that you need to enhance that driving experience. So again, it's about bringing simplicity and driving pleasure together at the same time. You know, we've even exaggerated that by only having a red seat on the driver's side, really making this feel like a driver's car, very, very dynamic and sporty. So, as I say, I mean, I tell you, there are so many details on this car, we can talk about it all day. I'm sure Friedhelm's already been speaking to a lot of people after doing the first presentation. But, you know, we've got so many features on this car that we're really, really proud of. And I don't want to go on too much while I'm standing here. But obviously, many of us are around for the rest of the day today that can fill in more of the details for you. So I think with that, I'm going to close and invite you to come and have a look at the car and talk to any of us up here. So thank you all very much.